This podcast was created by fans for fans and is not affiliated with or sponsored by Hallmark or the Hallmark channel. This is Eric.
This is Sydney.
And this is Hallmark Mysteries.
And more.
Hello, Sydney.
Hey, Eric.
Or should I say cheerio?
Oh, yeah. Cheerio, old chap. I mean, you're not old.
That's fine. Old chap. I think you sort of say that regardless of the age. You could say that old chap to someone younger, older.
Yeah.
Everything. So people are probably thinking we're a little crazy, but we'll get around to talking about that. So speaking of talking,
how we're crazy.
Yeah, speaking of talking, so here's a crazy thing that's going on. We have a dog that's 13 years old and it's a total mama's boy dog, like always snuggles up against my wife, sleeps in the bed, just always right next to her. Since 4th of July, remember we were talking like the fireworks and all that. So
yeah.
Ever since 4th of July, he won't sleep in our room anymore. He'll like take a look at it and just turn around and walk away, and you'll go sleep like in the empty guest room. Or right now my son's waiting to start school again, so he's here for like a month, and he'll go sleep with him, but he won't sleep in our room. So we're convinced that our bedroom's haunted.
Dun dun dun.
Yes.
This is truly a mystery, Eric.
Well, all right, so this is a little grim, but we did find out after we moved in here from our neighbor that
no,
the previous owner had committed suicide in our house.
No. Oh my gosh.
It was like an older person who had a lot of health problems.
And
so
they
like,
don't have to disclose that to you when you bought the house?
No.
I thought they had to.
Well, they weren't the one we bought it from. So maybe, okay, so we bought the home from somebody, from like a realtor who had it for like 2 years or something like that as a rental, and then they sold to us back in 2009. So maybe they had to disclose to them.
Maybe, yeah.
But I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Now, why all of a sudden the ghost would be like appearing now to our dog, I don't know. But you are buying a new home, so you will not have to worry about there being like a ghost that resides in your house.
I know, unless I don't know about the land it's being built on top of.
That's true. It could be like some ancient burial ground, and there you are with as you're building the house, disrupting it all. So you'll have all sorts of spirits.
I tell you, I have heard stories, not in California, but we had a family friend who recently bought a new build in Tennessee, and she took her dog for a walk, and the dog stopped at the end of this street, and she was like, come on, it's a really well-behaved dog, come on, let's keep going. And the dog would not budge, and she was like, okay, well, that's weird. And then they just turned around and walked the other way. And after a while, she ended up asking the neighbor, she's like, my dog just acts so weird, like, what's the deal? Is there some sort of like pesticide or something? She's like, oh, well, that's where the Indian burial ground starts. And she was like, what? And she said, oh yeah, didn't the company tell you that there's an Indian burial ground over there? They didn't build on it, but it's at the edge of the community.
Like, all right, so now you just pretty much confirmed that our house is haunted.
I mean, I think so, right? That's
so the 4th of July must have like completely, the ghost was in its sleeping state or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the 4th of July this year woke it up. And so now it's awake, and it hasn't done anything too harmful or anything like that, other than
Or
keep our dog out of the room.
or wait, is this the elderly dog?
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe it can see it because
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's now that he's
it,
old and dogs are
yeah,
just intuitive, as you just said, and now he's, getting up there in those dog years. He's got that extra sense. So I don't
he's
know. He just
seeing
can't, and he just
things.
came in the room because he doesn't want to go to bed. So he's now going to
I
be
don't blame you.
he's now going to be podcasting with me. All right.
He knew we were talking about him.
He did. Hey,
The
come.
ghost told him.
All right. All right.
Oh.
So something else going on in the world right now is the strike with the actors, with the SAG, as well as the writers. The writers have been on strike for a little while. We talked to John Christian Plummer about it. He sends us some information, little updates, really helped us understand a little bit about what's going on. And then with the writers and seeing a lot of their posts, it's really obviously disrupting our viewing, but
Mm-hmm.
kind of a bigger issue of all the thing that's going on. And it's funny when you see some of these posts where it's like, oh, we can't afford them, and then they show, like Iger's 150-foot yacht or something like that.
Oh
Um,
my gosh, don't get me started on that guy.
yeah, or just in general. And I did a little rant on my Instagram about AI and how studios are trying to use it to eliminate jobs. And I just think that's terrible. Um, so I just think, I don't know. Obviously, we're very big supporters of the actors. They've been super kind to us. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Now, most of the ones we talk to are Canadian, and they're not on strike technically, so they could do things. But I think a lot of them are showing solidarity to the Americans.
Yeah.
And so we probably will not be having some interviews for a while. We
Or new
were,
mysteries. Yeah.
or right, we have those couple that are done, but the what is it, the Curious Cater and Hannah Swenson, but probably
Yeah.
won't get any other new ones. Mystery Island, probably a little ways off. The Palaha one
Oof.
probably won't be happening for a while, and it's a shame because they were cruising seven in the first half of the year.
Yeah. They were doing great.
But
And also, it's such a bummer because out here in California, that's such a huge part of the economy.
yeah, it's funny because it's like, I shouldn't say it's funny, it's not funny, but that you think, okay, the actors are being affected, but then it's also all of the other people, the costumers who we've talked to, the set designers, the makeup people, the hair people, um, just the background actors. It's just very, yeah, very far reaching, and especially the economy where you are, it's very direct. Over here
Yeah.
it's a little more indirect. But and here's the thing, I also got my little notice from Paramount today that my Paramount subscription's going up $1 a month.
Just
So,
passing this along
well,
to
yeah.
us.
Well, see, that's the thing that gets me too, is that whatever they decide, so they could settle today, right? And they say, oh no, we whatever. If it was really about money, and then just raise everybody's subscription by $1, and it would, you know, pay for all of these, incremental costs. That's how you know it's not really about money, because it always ends up screwing the consumer whenever they do anything. So if they really want to settle, they could. It's about the like I say, the power of things, of owning rights and the streaming
Right.
and all of that. So all right.
Well, it makes sense. And the AI stuff is worrisome. So
It
you
is. It is.
don't want to mess with that. Ooh.
But what that is, like I say, because we're probably not going to have a lot of mysteries. One of the things we can say is we do have a lot of content. Still, we have a lot of the already made mysteries. We have just some other fun ideas. And today we're going to go, actually, it's kind of like a little flashback for you because you were just there. But
I
today
know.
we are going to be talking about our Acorn subscription, which is essentially mostly British, but then some other Canadian and Australian. I don't know if it's all like British Commonwealth type countries. You're far more experienced because you got me in on it. I've only been watching for a couple months now, but
Yeah.
I think they all
Got you
are.
hooked. What are you there?
So
Yeah, it's
they're
all
all
like
like
United
essentially,
Kingdom and
yeah, that they're all essentially the United Kingdom-ish mysteries of some sort.
yeah.
But today we're going to talk about that. So we're not going to talk about Hallmark. We're going to share some of the home, or excuse me, the British or international mysteries that may be fun to come over to Hallmark in an adaptation, or just as if you're wanting to get your sleuth on and there's not new Hallmark ones coming out, subscribe to Acorn or BritBox, and you
Yeah.
can get a whole bunch of new ones.
And I will say, like, if you're looking for it, it has that cozy mystery element in the fact like you're not seeing like graphic dead bodies or anything like that.
Well, there are
So,
some. Like I
well,
watched a couple. Happy Valley is pretty intense.
I'm talking.
Hinterland,
Well, I wasn't getting into those ones. Those can be a little moody.
yeah, yeah.
I was thinking of the other ones we're gonna talk about,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah. There's definitely like the cozy, like you said, the cozy. But if you want some more intense ones, they definitely have them. But they also have some very
yeah,
fun cozy. The other thing I will say, and I'll talk about a little bit later, is once again our friend John Christian Plummer. He's a very big fan of the British mysteries, and as far as the impact it just has on the whole genre really seems
yeah.
to stem back to there. And as I've been watching some of these, that you really do see where it just that even the heart to hearts or the Columbos or just the things that
Hmm.
are outside of even just Hallmark, how there is that very big influence of that British mystery, how they've really honed it and all that sort of good stuff. So
Yeah.
but what would be a good drink? Because we always have to have a cocktail. What would be a
Oh
good
my
cocktail when you
gosh.
watch these British movies?
You know, I think probably the classic gin and tonic made with Hendrix. They love Hendrix over there, and a couple of slices of cucumber in it. They love doing that. I don't know what it is about the cucumber, but they love putting a couple slices of cucumber in their gin and tonic.
Now, is that what you were drinking when you were over there on the honeymoon?
No, when I was over there, I was enjoying one of their favorite summertime treats, which is an Aperol spritz.
Ah, actually, I could just right here in my studio here. My studio, I sound so fancy. Which
You
is
are fancy.
the we turned my daughter when my daughter was officially moved out. We turned her bedroom into an office slash bar. So I have a nice full bar over here, and I could just step over there and make one of those.
That's nice. They're very refreshing for a summer's day.
All
Or you
right.
can just go to the local pub and grab a pint
And
if
how do you
you
make what's in that? What's in that? Is it just
a pint.
no, I know a pint. The Aperol spritz. Is it just Aperol and like club soda or something?
No, it's got actually like some prosecco in it and
Oh,
the Aperol, and then I think it has something else.
so it gets the
I'm
fizz
not
though
sure.
from Prosecco.
Yeah. And
Gotcha.
then they always put orange slices in it. So it might be like a hint of like triple sec or something sweet
Okay.
like that.
All right. Does
But
sound
yeah.
very refreshing. All right. So
It is.
whatever you want to do, get your little British drink on. Yeah, it could be the pint, could be the Aperol spritz, could be a gin and tonic. Um,
Or
and
isn't
then
like right now is like or was Wimbledon. So they did like the Pimm's Cup. I don't know what's in that, but that's like one of the
oh,
famous
it
drinks
is.
from that.
I thought that's what they
Pimm's
drank
Cup.
at the like Belmont or some one of the horse races. So they
Oh,
did the mint julep at the Kentucky Derby, and Pimm's Cup was at another one. So they drink that at
oh, well,
Wimbledon
maybe
too,
I'm
huh?
wrong.
No,
I thought it was Wimbledon.
I'm sure they
Maybe I'm
probably
wrong.
stole it from there. It's probably like a British I mean horse racing is British, so they probably just kept that tradition over.
Maybe.
So
I don't know.
I don't know. He can drink it. He can drink whatever you want to drink.
Yeah.
Make a daiquiri and enjoy your little British cozy mystery.
Have some
So
tea. A
yeah,
spot of
have some
tea.
little tea. All right. Well, why don't we get started with you sharing what's one of your recommended to somebody who may not be that aware of what's going on over there in our acorn.
Well, I think the British mystery that started it all for me, that
Oh,
I
I know where you're already
incorporated
going.
into my honeymoon, is definitely MidSomer Murders. It started, I think they had their first episode in like 1997 or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It's
And
definitely old.
and that show, yes, is still running. It still has a new season. I think that's coming out soon. But it's like in season 23 or 24, something crazy like that. But it's so interesting. And I think what grabbed me is, keep in mind, like when I discovered it, I was folding sweaters and it was like Christmas time and I had PBS on and I was just like watching whatever. And this show came on and I was like, oh, okay, and I started watching it and I was really invested in like the mystery and but the juxtaposition against the British countryside that is just so beautiful. And also the like family dynamic between like Tom Barnaby, who's the chief constable. I don't know what you call them. This
The main
like the
guy.
CDI, he's something. Yes, he's like their version of a detective, a senior detective, and his family, and then also his right hand man, who's like his partner. He's really great too, and you will be so surprised by the sheer amount of familiar faces you see in some of these episodes, like Orlando Bloom, Henry Cavill, or Cavill. I don't know how you say that, but also like all, if you know British actors, they're all in one of these episodes. It's
So is
pretty
it the same?
crazy.
It's the same two guys who started are still the same detectives or CDIs or whatever?
No, so Tom Barnaby, which is played by like the coolest guy, his name is John Nettles, and he retired, I want to say like probably all, I don't know the exact date, but I want to say maybe almost 10 years ago.
Okay.
And like so I think he was in it for like a good 12 years or something like that. And he retired and and another guy took over and I can't remember his name because keep in mind I also started watching this during the pandemic, so it took us, my husband and I, through the entire pandemic because there's so many seasons.
So you've seen them
But
all.
I've seen them all. I'm like all the way caught up. And when we got to the season where Tom kind of retires and his cousin takes over, John Barnaby.
Okay. Neil
Um
Neil Dudgeon
yes.
Dudgeon Dudgeon or
Yeah.
whatever. Okay.
And he takes over and he's still the one that is the Barnaby right now. So his name is John Barnaby. So there's now like a new Barnaby.
Okay. Okay. And
But
then
it was hard
um
to get used to because I didn't want John to leave. I was like, no, John Nettles, please stay.
what about now? Is it Gavin, the guy who is the sidekick? Remember, so you got me watching them, and I've
Uh-huh.
watched, I think, the first three. I did not realize they were like full-fledged movies either. So
Yeah,
they're
they are like
two,
that.
yeah, they're like 2 hours. So it's not one that you're going to just throw on as a 50-minute, which a lot of the mysteries are. This is the full-fledged movie. Um,
Yes.
but it's Galvin, right? Or Gavin?
It,
Troy.
yeah, a Gavin Troy, and he is I really like Gavin Troy, but he I think leaves after maybe 3 seasons,
Okay, so
and
he leaves.
yeah, and then there's a new partner, and then he's there for a bit, and then there's another new partner named Ben Jones. So, and he's really great. So it kind of like you get, I would say you skip over the guy in the middle, but like Gavin and Ben are like the best. And then also the coroner or the medical examiner, that guy is great too. I don't remember his name, but he's an older guy. And he stopped being in the show because he like passed away.
Oh,
So
he may be living in my bedroom now, haunting it.
I mean, maybe.
Oh, that's my dog. Hey, Charlie, is he in there? No, he did not answer. So I'll say yes. You have told me how great it is, so I watched it, and I sent you the text. I'm like, Troy, which Gavin, whatever Troy. I'm like, he's such a jerk. Whatever, he's got to go, right? And you're like, no, give it
He's
time. And I will say, by the end of the first episode, I realized that he's absolutely hilarious with his. I don't know if it's a bluntness to him, but
yeah.
it's just he cracked me up. And then the second one, I liked him, and yeah, so I totally at first though, I guess I was just thinking he's just a jerk, and then I realized he's just very funny.
Yeah, and the way that like Tom Barnaby kind of plays off of him, where he's like, really, Troy?
Yes,
Like,
or like makes fun of his driving and
yeah,
definitely keeps him in his place.
yeah. And then like I love the way Tom interacts with his wife Joyce, and like her cooking is atrocious. So he's always like not upset when she burns something. He's like, oh no, we'll have to eat out.
The yeah, and I do find the interesting the family dynamic that you're talking about, which like I say, I'm only 3 episodes in, so I have not watched 23 seasons like you have. But I do find it funny how they're just sort of over the kitchen table or doing some laundry folding or whatever, and are just talking about the case. And I guess maybe that is what it's like being married to a DCI. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I do find it
And
funny how they just have that family dynamic in it.
they do that thing that so many mysteries do, and I feel like that even happens in Hallmark mysteries when it's towards the end and she's saying something to him, or and he goes, what'd you just say? And then he's like, oh, I gotta go, I think it's basically like he's figured it out, but like, it just happens all of a sudden, it clicks.
The thing I really like, and this will go into all of the ones that I'm going to talk about, is the characters. You've got the leads, but all the secondary characters are just so quirky, and at least, like I say, I've seen three of them, but they're just really like just weird type people. And
Yeah.
maybe that's the English countryside or something like that. But like I say, when I'm talking about the ones that I liked, they also have very eclectic, interesting secondary characters. And you don't really get that in the Hallmark. The Hallmark, you may have one who's a little bit eccentric, but for the most part, they're just sort of
Yeah.
normal
Yeah.
people and stuff. And you definitely have some interesting characters.
Yes. And I like it was so neat seeing all of the different places where they filmed, because each episode is just the architecture, the churches. It's just so beautiful.
Now,
Like,
is it like the, for lack of a better way to put it, I guess, kind of the suburbs of London, or is it really kind of more out there?
uh, so it's I'd say it's like an hour and a half north of London, in Buckinghamshire, which is like it's in this countryside area near like the Chiltern Hills, and
Is Midsummer a real
it's
place?
no.
Okay.
So they've mostly filmed in this area, and then they filmed in like, I think it's like Henley on the Thames or something like that. But yeah, they just kind of, these little pockets were just made up basically.
Okay.
And you can definitely see how they made it up. I mean, looks like a little beautiful town.
All right.
It's just a bunch of little beautiful towns.
Okay. So here's the big question. Is the first one or the second Barnaby? Is that Barnaby, right? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Which one's better? You got to pick one.
Oh, the first one. I
Okay.
love Tom Barnaby.
Okay. So the other
Yeah.
one holds his own, but the standard still is Tom.
And I don't think that can ever be beat. But you know what? John Barnaby did grow on me. It was like I just couldn't stay away from the show. So I
Right.
stayed away for like a couple months, and then I was like, I think it's time. I can. And you know what? He has like a really cute dog, and he has a really sassy wife who's nothing like Joyce, who's Tom's wife. So it was kind of neat.
Well, all right. So this is going to get off topic for just 1 second, though. Do you watch Doctor Who's at all?
I watched like maybe the first season of Doctor, or maybe it was the current season of Doctor Who like a zillion years ago.
Okay, because that's like one of the things. I went through Doctor Who phase for a while there, and it's like whenever you get a new Doctor Who, you're like, oh no, he's the worst. The old Doctor
Yeah,
Who was better, and then after a couple episodes, you're like, okay, this Doctor Who's not so bad. But it is a
pretty
tough. It's
much.
tough to fill one of those iconic roles and then have to keep it going. So,
Yeah, yeah. So what about you, Eric? What British mystery are you did you
all
start
right,
out with?
I I'm gonna go with Agatha Raisin, and I like it for many reasons. One of the things is it's just very funny. Ashley Jensen is the one who plays Agatha Raisin. She she just nails the role. But it's kind of interesting because it's a little different than the Hallmark mysteries because she's a little bit older. She's in her 50s. Um, and so it's the other ones, not that the Allisons and Lacey's are getting older, but they're still whatever convenient, like, oh, I'm dating and I'm that age. Whereas she's definitely like, oh, I'm middle aged, and she plays it up, but um, it's very kooky. It takes place in the Cotswolds, I think it is, which I don't know if that's
Mm-hmm.
real or not. Um, I
They used some of the same filming locations as MidSomer.
But it's like, yeah, really, really pretty places. The mysteries are just kind of corny. She's this, she starts out, she's a London PR executive who makes her fortune, decides she's retiring early, and heads out to the country and all the interesting characters she meets, and she stumbles on, um, start solving these murders, and it's just a lot of fun. They're just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Her Also, one of the things that I know you'll like about them is her fashion. She just is like, she's out in the countryside and everyone else are, you know I don't want to say down dressed, but they're, they're not by any means fancy. And then there's her walking around in these like stiletto heels, no matter, trouncing through a field or something, just dressed to the nines,
Yeah.
looking spectacular. So, and she's also has this total attitude where at first you may find her a little bit abrasive, but
Hmm.
it quickly just becomes very likable. Because that's one of the things that I do not enjoy, and it seems to be very popular now, whereas they kind of have the anti-hero in a lot of shows where the main characters are just not likable.
Yeah.
There's HBO. I just finished watching an HBO, the other two, I think it is, where
Other two.
yeah, it's where like their little brother becomes this. He's kind of like a Justin Bieber sensation who gets really
Oh, okay.
famous, and then they're the older ones, and they are just too, like, it starts out, the first season is actually pretty good, but then after that they're just so unlikable. I found it just hard to watch, and I couldn't, when they had a redemption, I just couldn't even support them. Whereas with her, she softens up enough. She still has like little abrasiveness, but it's in a very funny way. It's not in a way where you're
Hmm.
like, I don't like you.
Yeah.
What it has done is it spurred me to read the books as well, because, one of the things I like doing is comparing the movies to the
Yeah.
books. And they actually do follow plot wise somewhat, I don't want to, not necessarily super close, but they do follow it. Whereas, like, we've talked about some of the hallmarks where, carrot cake, other than having a piece of carrot cake in it, it had
Yeah.
nothing to do with the book. Um, Curious Caters, they sort of take like one, we talked to John about that too, takes one little scene out of the book and makes the whole movie around it.
Yeah.
So these really do kind of follow it. The one thing though I'll say in the book that's a little different is Agatha's definitely not as likable. She's way more insecure. And so I found the books not quite as enjoyable as the
Yeah.
movies. Um,
I feel like with Agatha, though, there is like when you're watching it, there's an undercurrent of insecurity. And she's always like that. Something that helps with the abrasiveness of her personality is that she's always falling over herself or she looks ridiculous in
yes.
some way. That you're like, I can easily laugh off your, downsides because you're so
And right. And that's the
ridiculous.
thing though, is they sort of interject like a little bit of humor. And I also think it's maybe the difference between the words, and then when you see Ashley Jensen's portrayal of that, is she's able to make it like soften the edges, whereas in the book
Yeah.
it isn't. And she's just very, she gets so angry, whereas when you see Ashley do it, she does it like in a humorous way. And
Yeah.
whereas in the book, it's just anger and insecurity, and this woman needs a lot of therapy, and she
Yeah.
is just so horribly insecure. The But back to the the movie versions, they're just a whole lot of fun, and then the different characters around the
Yes.
neighborhood, the vicar's wife Sarah, who I think is great. Bill Wong, who's the DCI, who's the young guy who
Oh
starts
yeah.
out having the crush on her. He's really good. But I think my favorite side character is her housekeeper,
Oh
um,
really? It's not
Gemma.
Roy?
Gemma, no,
Roy.
Roy is pretty good. No, I like Gemma. I think Gemma is just hilarious. But so yeah, so I think it is just a truly delightful, fun mystery. There's like good mysteries in there as well. Like if you like the Hallmark mysteries, it's definitely cozy mystery.
Yeah.
Well, MidSomer is cozy as well, but it has a very different feel. Whereas
Yeah.
I think Agatha is a pretty close uh similarity to a Hallmark. It's just a Hallmark over on the other continent over there. And if you like him, I think you would really, really enjoy Agatha Raisin. And, plus she has
Yeah.
that funny name. So,
Yeah.
and there's only the only thing, the downside to it is I want to say, I think the first season's like 6 episodes and then it's like 4 and 4. So there's not a ton of episodes. You'll get through it fairly quickly.
I know, it's kind of
Um,
sad.
but I guess if you compare it to like Picture Perfect, Gourmet Detective, any of them, there's not that many of the Hallmark ones either. Um, Crossword puzzles, you get through that. That's what, 5. So I guess I shouldn't complain about like 13 or whatever it is. So,
Yeah.
all right. So there we go. We each got one. What's your second recommendation?
So moving along, we're gonna go with a classic. I absolutely love Agatha Christie's Poirot. It's based off of her. It's a series that the BBC did, based off of Agatha Christie's famous Belgian detective Hercule Poirot. And that's always like a funny element of it because no one can ever say it right because he's over in England and the British people are like, what? And he's like, Hercule.
Yes.
And it's played by this guy named David Sachette. I think it's Sachette, but this guy, and I've seen other people play Poirot because he was famous for, her book Death on the Nile and Murder on the Orient Express and that sort of thing. But this guy plays it phenomenally. I mean, everything from the mustache to the wardrobe to the way he says things, it's like some of the best acting I've ever seen. Like, get the heck out of here, Nicole Kidman, because this guy this guy is phenomenal. And it ran for a really long time. I think it had like 13 seasons. So it went through, until the early 2000s. But it's definitely worth a watch. If you're looking for classic mysteries that are set in kind of like the flapper era or, a little bit after that, it's like 20s, 30s type of stuff.
Right.
The costumes, the setting, like the setting that they have, like the hotels and all the dance parties and different stuff like that. It's all perfect. It looks just like you're there. Like they filmed it then. So I would highly recommend that because the mysteries are really interesting. Oftentimes you really don't know who did it. And they're really thoughtful.
Well,
Like,
I'd say if you're a Mystery 101 fan, you kind of should be doing that because, we talk about it quite a bit in this, but that's John Christian Plummer's, idol and how he bases a lot of his stories from Agatha Christie. And the magical eighth that never happened was a Agatha Christie mystery. So,
yeah.
but they're not cozy.
Well, I would say that you're not going to see like real
Right.
violence in it, but you are going to have more adult themed things happening in it.
Yeah, they're a little darker, a little more intense, but yeah, it's not like yeah, you don't see the blood and guts and it's mostly implied.
And you do have like a bit of still the comedic element of it. And I haven't confirmed this, but I'm almost positive that Monk is a weird variation of Poirot.
Oh,
I am
yeah.
almost positive. I don't know if this is written somewhere, but I'm pretty sure because also the dynamic Poirot has with like his secretary and the chief constable that he's always helping out is very similar to Poirot and his nurse lady and the It's like he doesn't have OCD, but he does like things in a certain way.
Right. I can see that.
So,
That's a very interesting. Now there's where we have to get on like Reddit or something and
yeah,
start doing some and sleuthing ourselves and try to figure
that's
that
our
out.
thread. Is Monk really like Poirot
Yeah.
in a different suit?
I'm sure there's a lot of theories that are about that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that. Like you say, it's not obviously just an Americanized version of it because yeah, there's definitely differences, but
Right.
I can see it being, yes, based off it and then then going and creating the character off of that, but using that as like the foundation.
Yeah. It's like with Clueless. Clueless is just a variation of Jane Austen's Emma.
Right. You're not going to steer anybody wrong who likes mysteries by sending them Agatha Christie, which will perfect segue to me because my
Ooh.
next one is Agatha Christie's Partners in Crime. Now, I
Ooh.
don't know, I'll be honest, and I'm going to actually, when I get done with, I'm going to take a break after I'm on the sixth Agatha Raisin book, and I'm going to switch over and I'm going to start doing some Agatha Christie because I've never read Agatha Christie. And have you read any of it?
I have not.
Okay.
But I do have an Agatha Christie book that was
Well, I'm just
that's
like,
been sitting for a while.
I'm sure like obviously there's a zillion Agatha Christie um movies out there. I don't know if Partners in Crime though, if it's like, I believe that they are Agatha Christie
Mm-hmm.
characters. That I don't know though if these mysteries are actually like just the characters and then this writer, because there's a writer who, it's written and it doesn't say, adaptation of anything. So I don't know if she
Mm-hmm.
just took the characters from an Agatha Christie story and created a series out of them, or if the series is based off of it. But it's basically there's Tommy and Tupperance. I forget what her name is, but something like that. And they're just a little typical British prim and proper. It's back in the, I want to say, 50s, I think. Um, Maybe the late 40s, but they're a very prim and proper British couple. And they just sort of fall into solving these mysteries. And his uncle is in like MI6, and they just get recruited in and just sort of dumb luck their way through it. And they're fun. It's definitely different. Um, they're like dynamic between it's I don't want to say it's kind of I think if we or no, I guess it will be it's a little cases of Mystery Lane with Birdie and Alden. Like she's
Mm-hmm.
definitely, I would say, the sharper one, even though she's a quote unquote stay at home, just woman of
Mm-hmm.
the generation, but she's definitely got some sass to her. And then he is just kind of, like I say, he just sort of fumbles his way through things and just
Mm-hmm.
oops. And they have some great repertoire between them. The mysteries are pretty good. It goes like a 3-part and then it solves it. So it's not like it's all solved in one. Each one ends on a little cliffhanger, and then you have the next episode. So they're not self-contained. And then there's 2 sets of 3. Um, so it's a lot of fun. You do get that Agatha Christie aspect of it. You've got some, just really good character development, a good mystery. And Agatha Christie, one of the things she does is you never know really who it is or where it's going. She's great at the red herring and misdirection, and you think you got it figured out, and then you like, nope, can't possibly be, and you go a whole nother direction only to find out no, you did have it figured out, but you were convinced that it couldn't be that person. um
Yeah.
So I think it's fun. It's also, like I say, that 50s, that period piece, which I'm usually not the hugest fan of, which will be interesting when we get to my third one as well. But it just it's just like I say, it's a fun mystery. There's one of the things though that's kind of interesting about the British ones, even though they're
Hmm.
in the cozy genre, is they definitely are a little saucier over there on that side of the ocean than we are over here, because like they have smoking, the characters smoke. There's like much
Hmm.
more like drinking or getting drunk, and a little more shenanigans, maybe a little visiting the brothel, which I could
Oh
not
yeah.
imagine a Hallmark movie going to a brothel. So there's just definitely some much more spiciness to the the British mysteries than we have over here in the Hallmark ones. But they're not, they're still totally cozy. And I think once again, if you enjoy Hallmark, you'll enjoy Partners in Crime.
Yeah. Well, so my last choice for this evening is kind of a wild card. It has only got one season. So considering all these other mysteries with like 13 seasons and more, this
All
is
right.
kind of like the new kid on the block, but it's called Recipes for Love and Murder.
All right. I saw that one. I have not seen it. I
Yeah.
was thinking, all right.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so it takes place in a small town called Eden, South Africa. So it's in South Africa. And the actress who plays it centers around this lady named Tani Maria, and she's played by Maria Doyle Kennedy, and it is like this character was made for this lady. She does the best job, and the cinematography, like the scenery, the shots of when she's cooking are so beautiful. Like that alone made me like love this show and hope that there's more, because it was just so beautiful. And so basically, Tani Maria works at this silly like newspaper for the small town that is located in the back of the butcher shop. And she runs an advice column, and
Wait,
her aunt's
the newspapers run out of the butcher shop?
yeah, the office is in the back of the butcher shop.
All right.
So she answers questions in this advice column, and the way she answers them are really thoughtful, but she always gets her ideas for the answer to the questions through a recipe that she comes up with in her kitchen. So
Well,
like,
it's kind of like us and our signature cocktails.
yeah, yeah, cocktails solve all our problems. But it's so unique and interesting just how it all comes together. Like she'll be narrating the answer, and it'll be showing her making the recipe, and then showing the person who got the answer making the recipe too. And like the answers and her recipes don't always coincide with the bigger picture crime. And this one was a little bit different in the sense that every episode isn't like a new murder. So I don't want to give too much away, but I highly, highly, highly recommend, and I hope that they make a season two.
Okay, so it's current. So it's not like, oh, we made one
Yeah,
season in 2016.
right. So I watched it when it first came out, and it came out in September 2022.
Okay.
So
Now,
like hopefully,
is it an actual, you said it's South Africa, right?
yeah.
So is it like, are they actual South African like show,
So
or is it a
that's
British show that they've just made in South Africa?
yeah. So I think it's a British show that they made in South Africa. Most of the people in uh, the show are South African, but the actress who plays Tani Maria, and also her character is supposed to have come from Scotland.
Yeah.
And you're also kind of looking at the angle of like, why did she come to Scotland? And like, is that really her name? And so there's like a lot of more intriguing stuff about it. Like, it's kind of got like different mysteries going on at the same time.
So this is a woman doing an advice column out of the back of a butcher shop, basing them on recipes while solving mysteries.
In a way, yeah.
That's a whole lot going on.
Yeah, and it's so, I just can't stress like how beautiful it is.
So she's essentially a mix of Elk McPherson from Chronicles with Hannah Swenson from Hannah Swenson or Goldie Bear, Curious Caterer with I don't there's clearly no butcher in the Hallmark mysteries, but
Yeah.
so she's just
Well,
sort of, now is it funny or is it more like
so I think there are
cute?
some dramatic undertones, but it is labeled as a comedy. So there
Okay.
are like comedic elements to it for sure.
Okay. All right. And are they, you said how the mysteries aren't, it's kind of like partners in crime, right? So it doesn't all conclude in that one episode. You watch them, so it's more of a series than
It's ongoing,
individuals
yeah.
put together. Okay. Um, all right. I will give that a go. I'll watch. How many of them are in the first season?
I want to say there's not, I went through them so quick, so maybe like six.
Six? Are
It's,
they full movies or are they
I
the
think it's
hour
like
one?
an
Okay.
hour. But it's so, I can't wait to hear what you think of it because I really loved it.
Okay. Well, so I will go back a little bit where you're telling me I have to watch the Midsummer. And so I started watching them and then I'm like, holy crap, if I like stay on this, I'll be finishing this up about the time I'm nearing my grave, because there are, like you say, so many seasons and they're just making new ones. So as soon as I feel like I'm catching up, I'll knock off a season, then there'll be a new season that comes out. So it's definitely, that's a lifetime commitment there. Whereas this sounds like a one I could binge it maybe and knock
You
it out in
definitely could,
a
yeah.
weekend. So okay. What was it called again?
Recipes for Love and Murder.
Okay.
And it's based off a book too. I think it's of the same name, like a Recipes for Love and Murder, a Tani Maria mystery or something.
No, actually, that is very much then, I guess, get a little of the Hannah Swenson in it, because in the books, uh, she's always including recipes throughout the book. So there's like, I don't know, 6 or 7 recipes that are included in the book too. So,
Yeah.
so this is one we can watch and learn how to cook while we're at it. What kind of food
And it looks really good.
now is
There
this
were
like
all sorts.
so it isn't like stuff that's all this meat stuff in the butcher necessarily.
No, there's some recipes that have meat in it, but she's got a really great like dessert recipe. There were some really yummy sandwiches she made one time. There's a lot of stuff going on there. I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but I
Have you
remember
tried,
each time thinking, wow, that looks good.
but you haven't tried to make one yet? Because
No,
you
I
are pretty
haven't.
fancy. You do that kind of stuff.
I do, but you know, maybe on a weekend because a work night is so rough to be like
Right.
really like in the mood with your vegetables. You're like tossing tomatoes and olive oil and you're solving people's problems.
Well, there you go. I put a challenge out for you to make a one of the recipes from the book. And I expect to see it. I expect to see it on Living the Hallmark Dream. So,
Oh no, I think you probably expect to see it on Hallmark Mysteries and More.
well, we'll share it. We'll share it over there. All right. So my last one, you left England, and I'm leaving England as well for that old penal colony of Australia. and it's called Ms. Fisher Modern Mysteries. And it's a 1950s one that's based off of a very famous mystery that I know you're a big fan of, Miss Fisher.
Yeah.
And there's a whole series on Acorn of watching of those, as well as a movie as well. That is her aunt. So basically, she comes and there's this like collection of sort of it's the League of Extraordinary Women kind of thing, and she somehow inherits her aunt's house and the most amazing car. I'm not like a car guy. I
Yeah.
drive a Prius and I'm very happy with my Prius, right? But her
Hmm.
car in this, it's like this 19, I don't know what it is, but I've told my wife if we win the Powerball, which is over $1 billion now, I am
Oh my
totally
God.
getting this car because it is the coolest little sports car I've ever seen. But she drives it, and this movie is, like I say, it's set in the 50s. She, I don't know who styles her, but the style in this movie is just off the
Yeah.
charts. And then there's the guy in there who I forget what his name is, but he's the detective, and he just has that total 1950s crisp suit with the little fedora that he wears. And it just, all this is kind of like, when we talk picture perfect, and we're talking around Oliver, and he was just saying how he was trying to get all those things right. And it's just, I look at it, of all those picture perfect, and we talked about the little things in there that just made that movie. Take that, amplify it by 100, and you have this movie. It is,
Yeah.
everything is so good. And whatever their budget is for her wardrobe, got to be off the charts, because every single outfit she wears is spectacular. I got, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna have to get our friend Nicole McCormick uh on it and get her, since she is a professional costumer, get her to watch it and see what her opinion is on this.
Yeah.
But it's so good. And then the mysteries, it's just got that like very sort of hip, it's 50, so it's not quite Mod Squad, but it's just got that very hipness to it. And
Hmm.
she's probably, I think, in her late 20s, I would guess. And so is the detective, and they're just so too cool for school. It's just fantastic, and the mysteries are fun. There's a little bit of quirkiness to them. The other women who are part of this organization all have some interesting side stories. Heck, the one I just watched one today, and it, is dealing with UFOs, but it wasn't really UFOs. It was government experiments. But but people were thinking it was UFOs, and it's just like such a visual masterpiece to watch. And the like I say, and Ms. Fisher in this could not be any better. She's perfectly cast. She just has the right look. The guy who plays the detective, just perfect look. So it's just fun. And it is one that totally could be a Hallmark mystery as well. It just recast it, bring it over here. You have I would say Ronan Fish in it as for Fisher. That'd be interesting. But she would like be a perfect one. But we're not taking her out of Nikki and Nora. But just in general, imagine like her in this totally stylish 50s, and it would be perfect. And that's one that I think would, all of mine actually, I think would very much translate to Hallmark channel if we decided to redo them and bring them over here. But it is just a really good series, kind of like
Yeah.
yours, where I want to say there's only one season of it and they didn't continue it. I have not gotten all the way through it. I've gotten through I think 6 episodes, and but I don't, like I said, I don't think there's a second season, which is a shame because it's from like 2016. So they're clearly not, unlike yours, going to be making another season of it, which is, like I say, total
Yeah.
shame.
That's too bad.
It is.
I, if you do get lonely for it, you can try her aunt though,
Oh,
because
I plan
everything
on
you're
it.
talking about with the style and stuff, they did a good job with the first one too.
Right. And that's like in the 20s though, right? So it's got the flapper
Yeah, but
thing.
her outfits are like dynamite, man. It's like the sequins and the fringe, and I don't even know, but it's beautiful.
So yeah, so they, like I said, one of the things that we talked about it once again in Picture Perfect, the way that they just stylized that movie, that they had a little bit of budget to go do in the Dancing Detective. They clearly had some budget to go ahead and stylize that, but nowhere near, nowhere near what this one is. So like I say, it if you like Hallmark, I think any of the three that I talked about are fantastic. Probably two of the three are very Hallmarky that you like. And if you're a sleuther, you'd like the Agatha Christie. So hopefully we've convinced some people to go ahead and subscribe to Acorn.
Acorn.
There's, there's also isn't that what it's called?
Yeah, Acorn.
Okay. I thought like maybe I was like looking at it wrong and it's like it's like Akron or something, and I've been pronouncing it wrong the
Akron.
entire time. But there's also BritBox, which I don't know what theirs are. I assume
So
it's got
BritBox
similar
just
program.
has different ones. I think BritBox has like Sister Boniface and like Miss Marple and things like that. So I mean, there are different stuff on.
And the Miss Marple is one that seems like it's got to be a good one because
It's really good.
they always refer. Have you seen them? Any of them?
Oh yeah, Agatha Christie's Miss Marple. That's
So how do you see that if you don't have BritBox?
oh, I see Poirot and Miss Marple on PBS. You can just
Just like
hit record.
regular old PBS.
Yeah, and I
Oh,
have YouTube TV now, so I
right.
just go and find it, add to the library, and then I watch all of them later.
Wait. So as you know, we both got YouTube TV at the same time and adjusting to that life. So if you just go look it up, find it, and hit add to the library, it'll go find and record all the old ones or add all the old ones in
It'll
there.
just start recording all of them.
Okay, so it won't
It
go.
won't record
Okay,
back in time.
so but I guess my question is, so they're still showing them,
Yes, there's,
right?
on my PBS, Poirot is on every Saturday night and Miss Marple's on every Sunday night.
Okay.
So
It,
just look in your TV guide or
are,
it's not a TV
are,
guide,
uh,
your menu.
are PBSs not all the same everywhere? Like for that stuff?
I think that there is like I have three PBS channels and two of them are like local
And
ones.
but the prime time isn't the same for all of them.
I they're not all
Oh,
the same. So yeah, you just have to look at yours just to make sure.
there's
PBS
12.
also has MidSomer Murder too.
Okay. I'm totally wrong on Miss Fisher. There's Miss Fisher Modern Mysteries. There are 2 seasons
Oh, good.
and it ended in 21. So maybe there is still
Okay.
hope. Maybe. I mean, 2 years, I guess isn't um that far out, considering it was 2019 and then 2021. So that's a 2 year gap. So maybe there will be a third season coming.
Yeah, we can hope.
That'd be fantastic. Hopefully, like I say, people got inspired to try a little bit um, outside of their comfort zone of Hallmark. I do know we have several of our listeners who talk to us who are British mystery fans, so they
Yeah.
they'll be coming back and saying, "Oh yeah, this one, these are ones are great as well." So hopefully, like something we won't the Hallmark and I shouldn't say Hallmark because Hallmark's not leading the strike. They're not one of the studios involved in all that. But hopefully the strike will get resolved sooner than later. Studios will come off their high horse and give the writers and the actors what they are asking for, which is reasonable. And we can get some fourth quarter mysteries coming down the road. But until then, got some good mysteries over there in England and South Africa and Australia.
Yeah.
So, all right. Check them out. Also, if you would be so kind as to refer our podcast to a friend, we greatly appreciate it. If you like what you hear, just tell one of your friends, hey, give it a go, give it a listen. We greatly would appreciate that.
Yes, we would. And if you're looking for more mystery content, you can go follow us over on Instagram at Hallmark Mysteries and More. Maybe we'll do some fun British sleuther style posts this weekend.
Yeah. Oh, sleuther style. All right. If I had your ability, I would do a sleuther style once again with Ms. Fisher. I texted you, like when I was watching it today, I texted you that picture of that dress she was wearing, which was just fantastic. But every episode. So, and Agatha, once again, fantastic.
Yeah,
and if you like those period pieces, the Agatha Christies are very good. How is the fashion in the South African romance?
It's cool. It's very like the main character has a very like bohemian breezy type of look to her, which I think is, you know, every SoCal mama loves a bohemian breezy outfit.
Okay. Perfect.
But I think we'll focus on Miss Fisher and Poirot because those are really the two style icons of the bunch.
Fantastic. You could do Ms. Fisher and Miss Fisher modern.
Wow.
A flapper and a new one. And then make sure you tell people where they can buy those clothes too. Which store they go in to get their flapper gear.
Did someone ask?
No. I will say though, I was watching the Royal Christmas Crush and the what's Kate Cassidy, I think is that her name? I forget it.
David Cassidy's
she was wait, is it?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No. Why?
Oh,
I mean, there's Cassidy's all over. Why would I think that they're related? Oh,
yeah.
Oh, learn something new today. Well, in her first scene at the ice castle, she's got these boots on, and my wife's like, "Oh my God, those boots! Those are the boots I want to get." So I've been trying to get hold of the costumer from that movie who doesn't do a lot of them, and I'm trying to stalk her down and find out where I can get those boots. So
well, maybe
if anyone who's watched
Nicole too.
Yes, I say, hey, go watch that movie. I asked the wardrobe gals, and none of them had an answer for me. But if anyone's watched it and you know what those boots are and where I can get them, shoot me a message over in our DM. I'd greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
But on that note, I say good night, Sydney.
Good night, Eric. Sweet British dreams.
Cheery. What do you say? Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo. So I'm going to go have a spot of tea and retire for the evening.
Okay. Sounds lovely.